Welcome to 305 Live, clinic number 6. This is going to be stick tricks, wrist and forearm strength, and control. So we're going to go through a couple different things here, all stick work related. Well, if you're going to be good at the sport, you have to be able to control your stick really well in all different situations. One thing that a lot of people don't really talk about when they talk about wrist strength and all that is range of motion. Okay, your range of motion is super important in your wrist specifically. So what I mean by that is making sure that your wrist is moving from all the way as low as it can be to all the way as high as it can be. Okay, your wrist has to be able to move in its full range of motion. What happens a lot is people do this full grip on their stick like this, and they end up losing range of motion. So you can actually, this is a quick little exercise we're gonna do. Make sure that you're holding your stick correct. Set up a long pass or a shot or whatever, right? If you hold the stick with your full fist like this, and then you try and go forward, this is as far as my wrist can go forward. And then back, it can go pretty far back. Forward, this is as far as I can go. All right, so the next thing you want to try is to now hold the stick, what we call the sweet spot of your hand, right between where your fingers and your palm meet. All right, so you're going to put the stick right here in the sweet spot of your hand, and always make sure that that's where you're holding your stick, with your fingers and not your full fist. So now when we hold our stick like this, where we're supposed to, we can see part of our palm is open, and we go full range of motion. Now look how far my stick can go. Okay, and I go all the way back and all the way forward. Now I'm using my wrist to its full capacity, whereas before I wasn't. Switching hands, we want to be able to do that. And when we're shooting, when we're catching, and doing all kinds of things that happen on a field, we want to make sure that we have full range of motion with our wrist. Okay, number 2 is control. So once you have range of motion, you need to make sure you have control. In order to have control, you need to have strength. In order to have control of your stick out here, in different situations, to catch the ball up high, to bring it in tight, you have to be able to control the stick in your hand. And in order to control the stick, you have to have strength. The last piece of this is that you need hand-eye coordination and stick and hand speed, okay? So you'll see how the drills that we do are gonna feed right into that, especially if you're a draw person. You have to be able to move your stick very fast. You're gonna see throughout this, I'm gonna use a few different products that I think are awesome to help. One is the Cradle Baby, okay? That's this right here. It attaches to your stick. So I'm gonna put the string right through the top of my stick and get this ball in here, and now I have a ball attached to my stick. So when I'm practicing certain drills that we're gonna go through, such as things like this, okay, the ball, if the ball falls out, it's real easy to come and grab it, okay? So the Cradle Baby is really great. Even if you have a small space, let's say you're in your house or you're in your backyard and you don't want the ball to fly to break anything, the Cradle Baby is awesome for that, and they're offering a 15% discount on their whole website. The other one, a Swag weight, which you guys have probably maybe seen before. This guy right here. And we're gonna put this on the stick, and it's real easy. It just Velcros on through one side, get it through the other. And what this does is it makes all these wrist strength drills that we're about to do even harder, and then it pushes you to get stronger, right? The equivalent of lifting weights, but for our forearms and our wrists. And Swag is offering $5 off a $15 order, okay? So they have these, they have the Swag balls, and it's a really cool thing for you to try out. So for right now, I'm gonna take this off because my arms and my wrists are gonna get really tired if I try and keep those on there this whole time. All right, so now we're gonna get into the drills. I really recommend doing at least 10 times in each hand. So whatever we do, we're gonna do 10 with our right, and then we're gonna do 10 with our left. The first one, we did our range of motion exercise, so I want you guys to remember to really try and make sure our range of motion is good, like this. The next thing we're gonna get into is the ball pops with our stick. So we're gonna keep our arm and our elbow at our side. We're not gonna move. This is just for our forearm and our wrist to move. So you're gonna stand here and you're gonna put the ball on your stick and tip it all the way down. You'll see my wrist is fully extended, all right, and the ball's still in there. It's not falling out. And then I'm gonna pop it up and catch it. All right, so we're gonna try and do 10 of these. The key to this is to make sure that you're really using the strength of your wrist and your forearms and your hand-eye coordination to watch the ball in. If you have to move a little bit to get it, that's fine. I would try and move your body rather than move your arm, okay? Because we really want to try and make sure that this is all staying stable and still. We're just really focusing on the strength of our wrist and our forearms. So down and up. Okay, all the way down, pop it up, try and catch it at the top, and then all the way down. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do 10 of those, and then same thing over here. Pop it up, catch it at the top, drop it all the way down. Real simple, but it is hard. So we're gonna do 10 on each side. Then we're gonna lift it a little bit higher. Okay, so this one's harder. We can bring it up here. The higher your arm gets with this, the harder it's gonna be. So now instead of our elbow staying tied to our side, we're gonna lift it up a little bit. Once you have the level that it's gonna be at, you wanna stay there. We're gonna drop it down and pop it up, okay? Drop it down, pop it up, see? Especially with my left hand, I need to work on this, right? The control part of it to make sure the ball's popping straight up in the air and bringing it back down, right? I'll try it again with my right hand. So again, my arm is high, my wrist is fully extended, popping it up, catching, bringing it down. Okay, the other way to try that is to do it this way. So we're gonna start with our hand out. All right, we're gonna drop, we're gonna pop, and then hold. And then drop, pop, hold. Drop, pop, hold. Okay, you can try that way too. This is especially good for people who do the draw and want to work on their strength for those one hand pops and really grabbing the ball, working on their wrist and arm strength. And now we're going to do front and back ball flips with the stick. So we're going to keep with the one hand. And actually you can start with two hands. If you want to try this with two hands first, you can start with two hands and just get the hang of flipping your stick over. All right, just get the hang of it like this. This is not really working on our wrist, our forearm strength. We're just kind of getting the hang of popping the ball in the back of our stick. Once we get the hang of that, we're gonna go with just one hand. One tip is that when you're trying this stuff, if it's really too hard for you with your hand at the bottom of your stick, you can slide your hand up. The higher your hand is on your stick, the more control you're gonna have because your hand is closer to the ball. It's closer to the head of the stick, so you're gonna have more control and it's gonna be easier. All right, in order to challenge yourself, start moving your hand down your stick, and you can do any of this with your hand at the bottom as you start to get stronger. Okay, so with the front and back of the stick flips, we're gonna do a similar thing that we just did with the ball pops, but we're gonna turn our stick. Okay, so now we're kind of adding another element to this, another element of control. All right, so again, you can try and do 10 of these and then 10 with your left. Okay, so the next one is a little bit of a stick trick, and it also is great to work on this stuff. So you might have seen this before and wondered how you do it. So what we're gonna do for this one is bring the stick over the ball, and we're gonna try and do a one-hand ground ball pickup. Let me know that this is not something you'd ever do in a game or in practice. This is strictly just to work on our hand speed and strength and all that stuff, okay? So what you're gonna do, it'll end up looking like this. Put the ball in front of us. You're gonna put the hand at the towards the bottom of your stick, and we're gonna try and get our stick over the ball and pick it up. There we go, okay? So what I did there, we're bringing our stick over the ball, and as we're bringing our stick over, we want the top little plastic part to let the ball go a little bit to the right. So we're going like that. Okay, we're hitting the stick a little bit. As it's rolling over, the ball starts to roll over. We're getting our stick under it, and we're picking it up. Okay, so this is a tough one if you know, you've never done it before. So it requires some practice, right? I haven't even done this in a long time, so it's taken me some time to get it. It's going to be even harder with your left. There we go. And then once you bring it up, you can try and cradle it with one hand. That's a fun one you can try. The other one that's similar to that is if we get our stick over the ball now, and we're gonna pick it up and twist and turn. There we go. All right, so you guys can try that one. So all I did there is one, the way I really should be holding it is like this. Okay, so again, what I did like in that situation is you're gonna put your stick over your shoulder just like this. You're gonna have your hand in the sweet spot, the stick in the sweet spot of your hand, and then you're gonna just put the stick over on top of the ball so that your hand is pointing down. This might feel a little bit awkward, but it's the right way to hold this stick if we're working on our control and all of that. All right, so, and the goal here is to get the edge of my stick to hit the ball so that it rolls right into my stick. As soon as it rolls into my stick, I pick it up and I let the centrifugal force, little science for you, right? As I'm turning, get the ball in, I scoop it up and I one hand cradle it back to my other hand or whatever. Okay, so we're gonna try that one again. We're like this, pop it in, whoop, caught it. Okay, so that's another fun stick trick you can try. All right, the one thing I forgot with this one is to do floor taps. So when you're picking up the ball, whether out of here or any other stick trick that you're doing, you could go right into floor tap. Stand with our sideways like this. This is actually a great one for the cradle baby because we're not going anywhere with the ball, or tossing it up or anything like that. So I can put my cradle baby in here. So I'm gonna extend my arm really straight. I'm gonna tap the ground right here, stick over high, and tap the ground behind me. Over high, tap the ground. Whoops, see? Fell out, but I still have it. All right, tap the ground. And this is not so much your wrist anymore, but it's your full arm. And it's your wrist for sure, but now we're not so much range of motion in our wrist, we're more range of motion in our full arm. So again, in order to be a really good lacrosse player, in order to be a good, have good stick work, you have to be able to handle your stick in all different types of situations. One of them being when your arms are super extended. So to be able to have control when the stick is this far away from your body is really important in getting better and being able to do a lot of different stuff in the field. So we're gonna do 10 like that, and then we're gonna switch into our left hand. We're gonna do 10 with our left hand. Okay. So now we're gonna go into section 3. It's also kind of stick tricks that you can try that are fun to practice with your team, or if you're trying to show off in front of your teammates or something like that, and just have some fun with it. Okay, it's always really great to have some fun with it, but also this is really great to work on your wrist and your forearm strength. The first one is going to be through our legs. You might have seen this in a previous video I've done before, but we're going to work on getting low, athletic stance, dipping our wrist in between our legs, and then popping the ball up on the other side and catching it. Okay, so this one, it really encompasses all of the things together. In order to do this, range of motion is super important. You have to make sure that your wrist is almost fully extended, not to where the ball's falling out, but look how far I can dip my stick and the ball's still in there, okay? So I'm gonna dip my stick as low as I can without the ball falling out. My wrist is pretty extended, and then at my wrist, this is where my range of motion comes in. I pop the ball up and I catch it. All right, so pop and catch. Once you get the hang of the pop and the catch, as the ball's in the air, you wanna get your stick reset, and then you can start going continuous. Okay, so instead of just popping it up and catching it with your stick under the ball, you're gonna pop it up, get your stick back here, and then continue. And then we can do the same thing on the other side. Once I get the hang of it, I can do the continuous. You can also try going through the back. So it may be a little harder to be continuous this way, because you have to catch the ball behind you almost, and then bring it back in front. So in order to start easy, you can just start from behind, pop it up, and catch. Now the behind the back, you can do behind the backs yourself this very same way. Okay, so we can work on tossing ourselves a behind the back pass. Again, this is really important, our wrist range of motion. And this one, it's not too much strength and control, it is a little bit, but it's a lot of your making sure that your wrist is snapping. And this is great for transitioning into then shooting and things like that. Okay, so just try this a bunch with your right, and then a bunch with your left. Last thing we're gonna try is a little partner passing progression or a little wall ball progression you can do on your own. All right, so I'm gonna use my Lacrosse wall for this to show you guys. So I'll just tell you real quick. What we're gonna first do is an underhand toss. Okay, so if you have a partner, one person starts and the other one follows. So I will toss it to my partner, and then they'll toss it back. I'll go around the back to my partner, and then they'll toss it back. I'm always gonna catch normal. And then I go through the legs to my partner, and they do the same thing back, and I catch it normal. And then I go over my shoulder and toss it back. This one's really tough, okay? It's hard to get the hang of. It's probably the hardest one. So if you want, you can practice this on its own a little bit first, but I'll show you how it goes on a wall. So, underhand toss, around the back, through the legs, over the shoulder. That one was really bad, as you can see. So I want to make sure you're doing it with your left hand. So underhand, around the back, through the legs, over the shoulder. And again, of course I missed with my left hand, that's even harder. Okay, so you can try that with a partner, and what's really fun is to see how many you can get in a row. So once you complete one full set, then you can count that as one. And then you try and complete another full set, and you count that as two. And see how many sets you can get without anybody dropping it, okay? If you're having a really hard time with that, then you can just count total catches and see if you can get through 5 sets and get the most amount of catches that you possibly can. All right, it's always really great to challenge yourself, to make competitions out of it, to be in competition with yourself or with your teammates or whatever it is. You can turn all this stuff into competitions if you want. Just get creative with it and have fun, okay? So this is really important to always have fun with what you're doing and while you're getting better. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the stick work session. I think that's all I got for you guys.